From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday. I'm Augusta McDonnell. We'll check into the Weather Center with Ed McIntosh in just a minute, but first in our statewide top story, the Montana Supreme Court handed down a major ruling in a landmark case on Wednesday. It upholds a district court ruling in the nation's first constitutional climate change trial, held v. Montana. The 70-page decision affirms that the 13 youth plaintiffs have a fundamental constitutional right to a clean and healthful environment. Our David J. dives deeper into the 6-1 ruling and the lasting impact it could have.
We had a chance to talk with one of the young people involved in the lawsuit against the state of Montana. He called the ruling historic, and it makes a law passed by the 2023 legislature unconstitutional. The 16 youth plaintiffs met on a Zoom call Wednesday morning.
It was really good seeing everyone's reactions and seeing the joy on their faces.
Kean Tanner from Big Fork was in high school at the beginning of the lawsuit and now is a student at St. Mary's College in Moraga, California.
This sets the precedent, not just for Montana and what Montana can do, but it also sets the precedent for the rest of the United States. It also sets a precedent for the world.
He's pleased that the court ruled that a law prohibiting agencies from analyzing the effects of greenhouse gas emissions in all cases is unconstitutional.
The remedy is that the government has to start considering those impacts, and the court talked a lot about how important under our environmental review law, how important public access to information is.
University of Montana law professor Michelle Bryan is the director of the school's Natural Resource and Environmental Law program, and whether or not the plaintiffs had standing was a huge issue in the case.
It has a really precise legal meaning, and it means there's a party that's been actually injured.
Justice Jim Rice wrote the dissenting opinion in the 6-1 decision, saying, as much as we want to encourage young people to involve themselves in the political process, that desire cannot turn plaintiffs' compelling stories into constitutional standing. Governor Greg Gianforte signed House Bill 971 into law in 2023 and says the court continues to step outside of its lane to tread on the right of the legislature, the elected representatives of the people, to make policy. This decision does nothing more than declare open season on Montana's all-of-the-above approach to energy. Meanwhile, a spokesman for Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen said the decision is disappointing but not surprising. The majority of the state Supreme Court justices yet again ruled in favor of their ideologically aligned allies and ignored the fact that Montana has no power to impact the climate. Bryan says the court ruling will help the state make informed decisions.
It doesn't mean we can't still do things. It just means we have to follow these laws before we act.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
I thought we'd start with our satellite radar mix. Here's the storm system that brought in the rain, the snow, the wind, the cold across eastern Montana off into the Dakotas. Starting at midnight up through now, this is moving over into the eastern Dakotas towards Minnesota. For us, well, it's starting to clear the sky out. The winds are also starting to reduce. Just some scattered stronger winds. No big surprise around Livingston. Into the eastern plains, the winds are starting to taper off in towards the Dakotas, where just an hour or two ago, some of these wind gusts were hitting 50, 60 miles an hour down around Rapid City. So through the afternoon, the winds will start to exit and a high pressure ridge builds in. That'll bring a change in our weather in the next few days. We'll talk about it coming up in a few minutes.
Now let's take a look at today's headlines. First, strong winds across Montana felt last night and remain a story this afternoon. The winds causing some major problems for drivers on Interstate 90 yesterday. Let's take a look at those photos. Several semi-trucks either toppled over or were pushed off the highway near Livingston. That string of incidents forced law enforcement to shut down both the east and westbound lanes of the interstate for several hours, diverting traffic through Livingston. We don't know if anyone was injured in those wrecks. And after 9 days of looking for a missing Conrad woman at the High Plains landfill outside of Great Falls, law enforcement is now focused on looking for her in Pend Oreille County. On December 11th, William Glenn Olson was charged in Pend Oreille County with tampering with evidence and the murder of Alicia Wood. In Olson's confession, he said he strangled Wood before placing her body in a suitcase and dumping her in a dumpster in Great Falls. MTN called the Pend Oreille County landfill asking if they were continuing to search for Alicia Wood on site. They responded, no comment. We'll continue to update you on that story. And the U.S. Marshals Service is offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to a man wanted for double homicide. Godfrey Joseph Broken Rope was last known to be in the Billings area. Billings police confirm that Broken Rope is wanted in the shooting death of 31-year-old Kenneth Morrison and his 1-year-old son. This happened on November 1st of 2023. If you have any information on Broken Rope, you're asked to call the U.S. Marshals immediately. And Butte-Silver Bow County officials are excited about the prospects for a new community building after the EPA listed the mining city as a recipient of a $20 million grant last week. Butte is one of 105 communities across the nation that will receive federal grant funding from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Chief Executive J.P. Gallagher says the money will help build a state-of-the-art rec center at a site that formerly contained historic mine waste behind the Butte Civic Center. He says more details about the project will be available in January, and the building will be completed within the next 3 years. And in Billings, the future of a crime-ridden apartment complex could be one step closer to its demise. The decision on the Colonial Apartments is set to go before a jury in January. City leaders say they're aggressively pursuing litigation to either repair or demolish it. MTN's Andrea Lutz reports.
It doesn't seem to matter.
There was about 10 or 15 cops that pulled up.
Day or night.
They took somebody into custody and then did a little bit of investigating and then drove away.
Crime and the Colonial often collide.
I don't even have fingers for how many times I've seen that happen.
Annika Lawler, who travels the city working as a DoorDash driver, describes the latest crime scene to unfold before her very eyes in broad daylight.
I'm just wondering when enough is enough.
It's a question many are asking, and enough could be soon.
It shouldn't take this long.
Here's the latest. After mediation attempts failed, the case is headed to a jury trial. The lawsuit is an aggressive tactic used through code enforcement to clean up the many violations on the property, accusing owner John Skoggy of maintaining a dangerous structure.
There's obviously reports of crime after crime after crime.
At last check, crime at the Colonial is down from last year. Still, there was a whopping 152 calls to the Colonial this year.
But then the house is still standing.
In response to the city's lawsuit, Skoggy says he's made upgrades, including a new fire escape, and denies it's the subject of excessive calls, even removing troublesome tenants and providing housing for an unrepresented community.
You need a place to live. Those people got to go someplace.
A point Frank Ewalt agrees with.
That's a warmer place than being outside.
The former city councilor warns if the Colonial is demolished at the hands of the city, another issue will surface.
Even though it's not what I'd like to live in, what you'd like to live in, what the mayor'd like to live in, it's better than living on the street.
The Colonial is a historic building, once linked to the success of Billings.
Just absolutely insane. And I know crime doesn't have an address, but we got to fix that.
Home to a complicated issue. In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
For more than 70 years, Ray Robinson and his family have been growing and selling Christmas trees in Flathead County. Ray sells his Christmas staples statewide, from Polson to Great Falls and even up on the High Line in Havre. In our Montana Ag Report, MTN's Sean Wells has more on this family-grown business.
This is what I felt I was chosen for, and this is what I love to do.
Ray Robinson's first memories of cutting Christmas trees are from the first grade, when his dad Ralph would take him to the tree farm after school.
Okay, this be 9. Then everything was cut with an axe or a handsaw. And he chopped off 2. I was a little guy about this tall. Trees were longer than me. He says, there, take them to the truck, and when you get done, come back. I'll have a couple more.
Ray quickly fell in love with the family business and took over his dad's outfit alongside his brothers. Between wholesale and retail, Ray sells between 700 to 900 trees each Christmas.
One of the things that's been a company policy since my dad started the company is you buy a Christmas tree from us and it goes bad, we replace it with the best thing we have in the lot.
Ray sells 10 different varieties of Christmas trees in his lot and grows his own white fir, alpine fir, and lodgepole pine. He brings in trees from other states to give his customers a good selection to choose from.
We sell the most of the Fraser fir Fraser will grow here in the Flathead, but it doesn't grow well.
Ray says the average tree they sell is around 20 years old and between 6 and 9 feet tall.
My favorite part is the harvesting down there, being out in the woods and stuff.
Ray cuts his own trees from his farm in Big Fork and occasionally gets a little extra help from his 5-year-old grandson.
It just actually melts my heart to see him help me there. That's probably one of the things that I enjoy the most now.
This 71-year-old doesn't plan on retiring anytime soon.
When they bury me. That's the way I look at it, good Lord willing. Or my wife keeps saying that, you know, we could retire, but you get sawdust in your veins, you don't quit.
In Kalispell, Sean Wells, MTN News.